Hi, I'm Taylor with Mom on the Spectrum, and in today's video, we're talking about the importance of slowing down. And if you're like me, that the idea of that might feel uncomfortable. And you might be thinking right now, there's so many other things I could be doing with my time. And if that's you, I would say that it's even more important that you take some time to slow down and just be. So, my hope is that with this video, you'll feel more connected to yourself. You'll feel more grounded. You'll feel like you've caught your breath, like you have more clarity about what's important to you in this moment in time. And the other voices and the other commitments and pressing needs are going to feel a little bit quieter on the other side of this video. But it will require you to bring yourself into this present moment and to allow yourself to sit with the discomfort that comes from being still. Not necessarily still, some of us still might like to move. That's totally fine, but to slow down and to be present. So, also in this video, I want to share a little bit about how autistic people can be kind of this beacon of hope for what it looks like to slow down, because I think that autistic individuals were kind of designed to, I've talked about this before, be a canary in the coal mine, of this kind of alert signal of, hey, something's off. I feel like our bodies are equipped to handle those signals, which in turn, a lot of times, I think tell us to slow down, turn around, stop, rest. So we're going to talk about some of those things today. My cat Beltray is here with us. He's really good at slowing down. And hopefully he'll stay with us here today. But as we explore slowing down and rest, I just want to invite you to kind of check in with yourself. So a lot of times slowing down can look like just taking a few deep breaths. And I want to ask you, when was the last time that you did that? When was the last time that you slowed down to take a few breaths? And there's no judgment there. It's just kind of this approach with curiosity, right? Like, oh yeah, when have I slowed down to check in with myself? So I'm going to do that right now for me as I get more cat hair on my sweater that I just lint rolled 3 times. And I'll invite you to do the same. So I like to inhale through my nose, exhale through my mouth. And on that exhale, just imagine your body getting heavier and sinking into the surface beneath you. And maybe just take a second to stay relatively still and just ask your body, how are you feeling? That might feel a little scary, but where are you noticing tension in your body? Maybe put a hand on that part of your body that's experiencing some tension and keep those deep breaths going during this video. Our breath is very healing and it's free. And breath work can be so important to our healing, especially our autistic nervous system. And we're going to get more into that. But I think autistic individuals, we are built for slowness. Let me unpack that a little bit. As an autistic person, we take in a lot of information. Kind of like an antenna, we walk into a room, we can sense things that other people might not feel or sense. We might hear sounds, we might hear conversations that other people can't hear. We might be bothered by lights, that other people seem unaffected by. Our system is more sensitive by nature. And I use the word sensitive with a lot of respect and admiration. Honestly, I think that the autistic nervous system is quite a beautiful spectacle of what's possible when we really take in our surroundings and the present moment. So I think a lot of our processing, because oftentimes myself and many in the community, we feel like we're delayed processors, which I've switched to approaching as complex processors because it's not necessarily a slowness, it's a depth, right? So it's kind of like with a train. Let me see if I'm unpacking this on the spot. My brain was thinking like moving a train, it's so heavy, right? But it's very powerful and it can take a while to get that power moving. Whereas, an autistic or non-autistic person might be operating a bike and it's much easier to get that thing going, right? It's a couple of pedals and you're off. So it's not necessarily that we're slower with our processing. There's just a depth there that seems to be kind of unmatched. I think it's really remarkable. So with that depth of processing comes feelings. It comes with an understanding maybe of patterns that are unfolding before our eyes, maybe that we don't quite have the words for yet. Sometimes, I think oftentimes with everything that I'm processing, there's a lot of it that I process that there's no words for. It's kind of just an inner knowing. And so it's not just that other people might think that I'm processing slowly, but sometimes there's just not words to communicate what I'm actually feeling or experiencing. So, because we take in so much information, it requires us, I think, to move with more grace, with more slowness in order to accommodate that. In order to, okay, let's switch the metaphor to like a backpack that's really heavy. We're carrying around all of this understanding, and we're not going to be able to sprint with that backpack because the backpack's heavy. So we've got to pace ourselves. And I really think, I know there's been a lot of times in my life when that has felt like a burden of not being able to go as fast or as far as I want to go, because I'm very productivity oriented, and it frustrates me when my body can't keep up with what my mind wants to do. But in a lot of ways, I feel like it's a gift because it's reminding me that I don't have to keep up with the pace of the world in order to be okay. And there's so much that has changed in our world. I guess as I'm even saying this, I'm realizing this video is going to tank on the algorithm because it's slow and people want fast, quick, give me the answers. So much has changed in our society to where we focus on, we reward, we prioritize productivity, accomplishment. And I think that causes us to look past a lot of the really important things in our life. The people in front of us, the animals that we get to interact with, the opportunities. There's a lot of technology in itself is really miraculous, right? Like it allows me to be in your living room or on your phone or wherever you're watching this video. We can communicate ideas so quickly. But I don't think that we were meant, sorry, my cat keeps moving the camera. You're shaking the camera, but that's okay. I don't think we were meant to be this connected to everything all the time. And I think our autistic nervous systems are a really great, again, canary in the coal mine of like, this doesn't feel right. This is too fast. We're moving too quickly. We're expecting too much of ourselves. And it's not that we're not capable of it. I think most of us know what it feels like to push ourselves so hard that we can accomplish all the things, but that usually leads to burnout. It's not that we can't do it. It's just that I think that life unfolds a lot more beautifully when it's in its own time, right? You think of trying to rush a rose to bloom. You can pull the petals back, but it's not the same as just letting it unfold when it's ready to unfold. And so I think there's a slowness and a gentleness that's really missing in our society. And I honestly feel a lot of hope that we can find our way back to it. Because at this point I'm like, what's the alternative? We're flying forward so quickly with AI and technological advancements and, a lot of division politically everywhere that just seems to be hurtling us towards a very chaotic energy. And in some ways that gives me hope because it feels like it's causing us to look this in the face and be like, how do we step out of this current? How do we create something new and different? The answer, I wholeheartedly believe, is slowing down. That's not sexy. That doesn't sell. And so it's going to feel like going against the current majorly. And this is another analogy I like to use, like in connection groups and stuff. Going back to the freight train, getting it to turn around, like if you're going to change the freight train from going south to going north, the energy and effort it takes to swing that momentum to go back the other way, the progress is very slow at first. And then all of a sudden, once you've got more of the weight behind you and you're used to going in that direction and the track is set up for you and everything, eventually the freight train's going to start carrying itself in that direction, right? Or it's going to require less energy once you get it going. And I think that's kind of where we're at right now societally, is we're looking at, where are we going to end up if we keep going at this pace? And I think some of us, here's the thing, I think a lot of autistic people particularly, he just heard his food. His food just went off. We have an automatic feeder. Are you going to go eat or are you going to stay with me? He's trying to decide between cuddles and calories. I think a lot of autistic people, again, canary in the coal mine, are waking up. I think a lot of it actually has to do with some form of enlightenment. And we're saying, I know how this ends, and we have to change our ways if we want to have a different life. I think we're missing out on a lot of the beauty and the depth of life by trying to do everything under the sun and trying to be productive and trying to have 1 million followers and trying to whatever it looks like for you. I think autistic people are looking at these patterns and saying, okay, how can we soften this? How can we change? How can we step outside of this propulsion, that seems to be sweeping us all away? Slowing down, being gentle with ourselves. And here's the reason why I think slowing down, here's what I think it all boils down to with slowing down. When we slow down, it brings us into the present moment. And that is what it is all about. Like, what is life? What is the meaning of life? Like, to be present. That's my definition. What is the meaning of life? To be present. For all that is here to experience in this moment. And when we're trying to do and accomplish and plan and become and, all X, Y, and Z, everything that society is telling us to do, we're not living here in the now. We're living in what if I could be something different in the future. And that's stealing so much significance and meaning from us. So when we slow down, it causes us to be in the present moment. And again, that's very freaking uncomfortable because in the present moment, I'm feeling some uncomfortable things. I'm scared because of the division that I see when I turn on the news. I'm overwhelmed because my kids have so many things going on at school right now. It's the holidays, and I'm not sure how I'm going to get it all done. I'm tired, and I'd rather not think about how tired I am. But when I slow down enough to feel those things, I stop resisting them. And there's kind of a gentleness and an acceptance of, yeah, I am really tired. And it makes sense that I feel overwhelmed. I look at my calendar, I'm like, well, it makes sense. And that phrase, it makes sense that I feel this way, I would encourage you to use that as well, because that's one way that we can stop resisting. What we resist persists. And if we say, oh, I can't feel tired right now, I have to go, 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 that feeling of tiredness, I don't know if you probably, many of you know what I'm talking about. It's going to start feeling more pronounced. Like, no, I'm really tired. Like, please hear me out. I'm so tired. We can mask it for a little while, but it's only going to come back stronger. It's just like when you drink alcohol, like it can mask those sad feelings, but it doesn't make them go away. It just suppresses them. And a lot of times those feelings will come back stronger on the other side. So as scary as it is to stay in the present moment with those emotions, to me, it's scarier to suppress them. It's scary to think about what happens when we suppress them and wait for them to come back stronger later. So emotions have a start and an end. I know that might sound a little wild to wrap your head around, but if you're feeling sad, you're not going to feel sad forever. There's an end point on that emotion. And again, if we push that down, then there's going to be like a small amount of sadness felt, or maybe a large amount of sadness felt over an extended period of time. If we push it down, say, no, not now. But if we can sit with it, even if it's just a little bit, like if I'm thinking about we have a jar full of sadness that we have to experience in order to process what we're feeling right now, and we let a little bit of it out, we feel a little bit of that sadness, and then, okay, it feels better to put the lid back on. Okay. And the next time I can feel a little bit more sadness, put the lid back on. Eventually the jar will be empty. And yeah, maybe it'll fill up again, but emotions have a start and an end. So rather than being scared of feeling those emotions, it can actually be quite empowering to say, yeah, let's do it. Like, let me feel this. Let me feel through it. Let me process it. Let me stop fighting this feeling so that I can get to the other side of it. So that's what happens when we slow down. We become present, and it all kind of goes back to our nervous system. I mentioned how sensitive and profound and complex the autistic nervous system is. You can only experience your nervous system in the present moment, because that's where we're processing the sights and smells and touch and that information that our nervous system is giving us. It happens in the present moment. So for an autistic person, it makes sense that we might want to numb out and not feel all of that all the time, because it's a lot of information. But what I'm learning for myself is to start building more periods of rest into my schedule. Like, they are mandatory. It's not just, oh, if I get things done, it'll be really nice to rest. No. Periods of rest are mandatory so that our bodies can catch up with all of the stuff that we're processing. And I use this analogy a lot too, but I just feel like this is such a great picture for myself. If you think about spinning a top or like a dreidel, you spin it, it's going, 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 going. But once you stop touching it, it eventually runs out of steam and stops spinning. And for autistic people, whether it's sensory processing, whether it's research, like I know I constantly take in information. I'm like, Taylor, you have so much information that you don't even know what to do with. Like, I need to stop spinning. I need to stop taking in so much information so that the energy of the spin can kind of fizzle out and I can take a deep breath and be present with what is in my life and not keep adding all of this external stimuli in that requires more and more processing, more and more spinning. it makes me feel more and more wound up. Information is not bad. New experiences are not bad. All of these things are part of being human, but we can build some more autonomy into our lives by being very mindful about the number of sources, the number of stimuli that we allow into our lives when we have control over that, right? Some things we don't have control over. We're at the store, something spills and it, creates a situation that, causes a lot of stimuli and whatever. Sometimes we're not in control of those things, but the things we are in control of, how much we're scrolling on TikTok. I am so guilty of this. I love TikTok, but there are so many ideas. Like, I'm never going to get to the end of all the ideas, the beautiful, brilliant, amazing ideas that people have. But by inundating myself with those ideas, I'm not giving myself time to develop my own. And that takes away from my humanity. That takes away from my feeling of connection to my community and the work that I'm put here on the earth to do. So I'm not villainizing TikTok or scrolling. Those things are wonderful and they have inspired a lot of creativity and growth in me. I mean, it totally depends on your algorithm, but when your algorithm is cats and psychology and emotional regulation, there's a lot of really beautiful things there. But it becomes too much. And, we're in this season of life where, I mean, obviously no one's been here before. No one's been alive at a time where we have access to so much information all the time. And so it's so important. I think autistic people can kind of lead the charge here. It's so important to step back and say, okay, how are we going to utilize this tool in a way that ultimately benefits us and doesn't exhaust us? How can we use this as a supportive tool instead of something that causes constant depletion and jealousy and overwhelm, comparison? So how do we slow down? One thing that's really helpful is going outside. Nature knows how to slow down. Watch the seasons change, Um, there's a reason that all the leaves fall off the trees in the winter. There's such an important time to recharge. And it's a great reminder of what our bodies need and what our life needs in different seasons. Go for a walk, hug a tree. Like, I don't know. There's a reason that that's a thing, there's an energy in everything. And the energy that you get from a phone is a completely different kind of energy than you get from a tree or the grass. And I think we all know that. There's energy in both of those things, but one feels, it feels like, the word in my head is acute. Like energy from a phone and scrolling, it's like bright and like a flashy kind of energy. And energy from a tree or grass or flowers is more of a calm, grounding energy. And there's times for both, right? But I think right now as a society, we need so much more grounding and slowing down and calm. So we slow down by going outside, by observing nature, spending time with animals. The animals are great at slowing down too. I wish that my cat's butt was not here. I wish this was his head. Maybe I can. There we go. Okay. If only I could move my camera. We slow down by saying no to things that we can say no to. So I'm a single mom, and obviously, like, I understand there's some things that we can't say no to. My kids have certain school requirements, that kind of stuff. But when we do have the opportunity to say no to something, to start practicing that and to let it be okay that there's white space on your calendar. You don't have to fill everything up. We can slow down by taking time to stim, building that into our day. It kind of slows our nervous system down. So stimming can be, the stereotypical hand flapping. It can be walking. It can be swinging your hands. It can be dancing. It can be tapping. But there's a reason that's really good for autistic people to do. It helps dispel pent-up energy in our body. How else can we slow down? Staying hydrated. Staying hydrated helps calm our body down. It's like the number one way to reduce inflammation. Sleep, staying hydrated. Um, that can help our body feel like it's slowing down and able to process things more easily. Spending time with people who lift us up. It's okay to be protective of your time and energy and to spend less time with people who drain you. They might not like that at first, but you only have one life to live. And it's okay if you choose to spend it with some people and not with others. But I know that can be a difficult thing to navigate. So give yourself grace as you learn to change those patterns. How else do we slow down? I really think just less time on our phones. I'm trying to just check in on social media stuff when I'm at my computer because that is a lot more manageable and I spend less time on it that way. Cuz like I said, I don't feel like it's bad. Like I love social media. I love learning new things on the internet. It's one of my favorite things, but when I scroll on my phone for long periods of time, it takes me out of my life and my community. And so I think just being mindful of how often we do that when we do it, um, really allowing yourself to be present with the people who are in front of you, sitting with uncomfortable emotions, taking the time to stop and breathe and to ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? And your body is so smart. You can ask your body, what are you feeling right now? What would you like me to know? And you might be really surprised what your body communicates to you. I was going to have this in my lap the whole time, but I forgot. This is my weighted pillow, and this is one thing that helps me feel more calm when I'm at my desk. It's kind of like, I'm going to be honest, I'm single, and this kind of just feels like a hug, and that feels really nice because I can't just like go find my partner and get a hug. So this is my little desk hug. And I'll put the link in the description if you want to check out the weighted pillow for yourself. If you're watching this today, like the day that I post this video, it's actually buy one, get one half off. So it's a great Christmas gift. But anyways, yeah, I hope that you feel a little more calm. Um, I hope that you'll feel encouraged to check back in with your breathing, to be kind and gentle with yourself, to know that you can trust your intuition when it says, this is too much. I need to slow down. I need to take a break. And to know that that's a really beautiful thing. And I think that when we listen to those instincts, I think it's actually a really beautiful reminder to other people. Let's create I don't want to say envy, let's not create envy, but let's create kind of a curiosity from other people. How do their lives look calmer than mine? How do their lives look slower and more gentle? I want that. It's reminding me of, I'm kind of obsessed with Fred Rogers. I mean, always, but especially lately, I'm reading his biography. And what did he used to say? How can we make kindness attractive? How can we make goodness attractive? It's kind of that same idea. How can we make gentleness and slowness attractive? Relish in it. Relish in being that person that has few commitments on the calendar. Relish in being that person that, you love being in your pajamas at 7 p.m. on a Friday. It can look different for everybody, but relish in the idea of slowness, gentleness. If there's any guilt there, just let it wash off of you and take up space and just find joy in that gentleness and slowness. And I think when we do that, we make it more appealing. It has kind of like a chain, has a ripple effect on those around us who maybe want an opportunity or an invitation or permission to slow down and be gentle with themselves as well. Thank you for watching. It does really help me out if you want to like this video. It feels kind of off the vibe, but I do really feel like this message is important. So anything you can do to help me spread that message, I think that's what the world needs right now. Slowness, gentleness, curiosity. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.